everyone, welcome to the lesson intro video for Unit 5, Lesson 2, Achievements of the Egyptians. Today we're going to be reviewing a few slides from Lesson 1 and then going into the slides from Lesson 2. Here are the standards and objectives for Lesson 2. The Nile River. The world's longest river is the Nile. It flows north 3,500 miles into the Mediterranean Sea. The river carries silt from its source in East Africa, and over thousands of years the silt has settled and created a delta, an area of soil or minerals near the mouth of a river. Let's look at Egypt's social pyramid. On top we have the pharaoh or the king. Underneath the pharaoh are the nobles, priests, and officials, then the scribes, who were the writers. Merchants and artisans came next, and finally farmers, servants, and slaves. Let's look at two of the notable pharaohs from the New Kingdom. In Lesson 1, you read all about the New Kingdom. Hatshepsut was a female pharaoh and ruled longer than any other female pharaoh. She was the daughter of a pharaoh and a wife of another. After her husband died, her son was too young to rule, and so she took the place as the pharaoh. Some people did not want a woman to rule as pharaoh. However, she adapted to all the traditional customs of being pharaoh, including the dress. Her rule was peaceful and prosperous. Ramses II is another important pharaoh. He used war in the Fertile Crescent to advance the kingdom, and he is well known for building more monuments than any other pharaoh in the New Kingdom. He built many temples and a new capital city. Egyptians believed that gods controlled everything in life, from the flooding of the Nile to birth and death to the rising of the sun each day. To please the gods, Egyptians left them gifts and they prayed. They worshipped hundreds of gods. Let's take a look at a few of these gods and goddesses. Ra was the god of the sun. They believed that he created the universe and was the source of life. Bastet was the goddess of cats, the goddess of joy, women, motherhood, and childbirth. Thoth was the god of wisdom, science, and knowledge, and he was often associated with scholars and scribes. Osiris was the god of agriculture, vegetation, and fertility. He was also believed to be the one to judge the dead, to decide if they should move on to the afterlife or not. Anubis was the god of mummification, which we'll talk more about in a second, the afterlife, and the dead, and he was the one that prepared the dead for the afterlife. Hieroglyphics. Egyptian writing developed around the year 3200 BCE. Egyptian hieroglyphics are symbols that represent a word or a sound. Most Egyptians didn't know how to write. The only people that knew how to write were the scribes, or the officials who knew how to write. Writing was used to share and preserve knowledge. Papyrus was used for writing the hieroglyphics, as well as stone. Papyrus was a material made from reeds that grew along the Nile and was similar to paper. Why did the Egyptians build the pyramids? Tombs of early rulers were underground chambers or rooms. The burial chamber contained items that the ruler might want in the afterlife. An architect designed a new kind of tomb for his pharaoh with 6 stone mounds, one on top of the other. The result is known as a step pyramid. Later architects made the sides smoother to create a true pyramid, or structure with triangular sides. When they were built, these pyramids were the largest structures on Earth. They were a great achievement, and they show Egyptians' command of mathematics and advanced building techniques. Let's look at some other achievements. The Egyptians had a calendar based on moon cycles, which was pretty common for the time. One of the downsides of this lunar calendar was the shifting of the seasons. The dates were not consistent with the actual length of the year, and so every once in a while they needed to make adjustments to the calendar so that the seasons stayed consistent. They also had a great understanding of mathematics, which we've talked about in their use of constructing pyramids, but also other structures. They were also great inventors. They created glass and mortar used for setting bricks, as well as cosmetics. They also were interested in anatomy, or the study of human bodies. They looked at the structure of bones, muscles, and organs, and they used this knowledge to develop medicines to cure or treat diseases. They knew so much about anatomy because the Egyptians believed in an afterlife. The god Osiris was said to decide who went to the afterlife and who was destroyed. To prepare for the afterlife, they mummified bodies and placed objects in and around the sarcophagus, which you can see on the screen. A mummy is a body that is preserved in a special process called mummification.